You know that you guys can unmute your microphones, right? Project 2, because profitability index uh, asks you to accept a project with the higher PI. Okay. So 124 is higher than 121. But if you look at it, scale of the problem is different. 65,000 on project 1, slightly less than 50,000 on project 2. Yes, you are making more money per dollar invested on project 2, but the difference is not that big. You're making a little bit less money per dollar, but you're making it over higher number of dollars. In fact, the next question asks, if your company applies the NPV decision rule, which project should it take? PV of project 1 is 13.3 or so. Project 2 is slightly over 12,000. Obviously, if you choose the project with a higher NPV, that means NPV rule tells us to pick what you want to call project 1, but PI rule tells us to pick project 2. In fact, it doesn't ask, but even IRR says pick project 2. The reason they are different, the decisions are different. PI doesn't know anything about the scale of the problem. It just tells you how much money do you make per dollar invested. Yes, we want PI to be greater than 1, but we also want to higher PI. But since project 2 is a smaller scale and the difference between the profitability indexes are not that much, then NPV rule says go ahead with project 1. That is the reason why these two answers are different. Okay. Let's talk about potential issues with IRR. Here we got a project. Let's see. Let's just pick one of them. %, cost of capital. Two years, 52 million. Come on. $74 and -12. Now, this is an example of non-conventional cash flows. I'm going to delete this. Non-conventional means at least one of the future cash flows is negative. When that is the case, there is no guarantee that the solution to the equation that defines IRR is going to be unique. In fact, let me choose a different starting value. Okay. Same one. Okay. Turns out negative 81% is also a solution. When there are multiple solutions, the entire concept of IRR is completely ill-defined. So there is nothing internal about this. Negative 81% solves the equation, but so does 23%. So IRR is completely useless as a what you want to call investment criteria in such cases. and there are two IRRs, but based on this, yes, I should accept the project because actually, no. I mean, the second IRR, negative 81%, is very small. What's going on here is multiple solutions. But in that case, we can always go back to MPV. I mean, this project has $4.5 million MPV. It's not very high relative to the cost. As you can see, PI is only about 1.09, but still positive. You know what we do in these situations, right? We actually calculate the modified IRR, which this template calculates automatically. And the way we do this, we modify the cash flow so that negative future cash flows are zero, but present values of those are added to the initial cost. So initial cost of this is 52 million, but that 4.5 million should be more than that. Oh, here's the present value. Okay. Present value of that negative 12 million in year two is about 9.5 million. We take that and add it to the cost of the project. Once we modify it, it is a conventional cash flow, which means we can calculate an IRR for that, which is what modified IRR is. Your book talks about two more different ways of doing it, but I don't particularly care for those. This is the simplest one. Modify the cash flows so that they become conventional, then calculate the IRR on the modified set of cash flows. And our template is already doing it anyway. All right? Any questions on how we interpret these results? All right. Are you guys good with payback, or should I go over it? Yay or nay? Sure. Okay, let's do a few payback problems. Let's see. We'll do a multiple stuff too, but let me choose. Okay, let's do this. We have two projects. I'm gonna keep calling them project 1 and 2. Discount rate is 8%. Project 1 cost is 1.8 million. Project has 3 years of cash flows after period 0. It doesn't say anything about payback cutoff. I'm just going to leave it as 2 for now. Let's enter the inputs. $840, $87. My cat is meowing outside. That probably means she caught a mice. She wants to give me a gift. Let's do the same thing for project 2. 715. $380. $6. Okay. Let's actually make payback calculations. To calculate the regular payback, just find the year in which running cash flow turns positive. In fact, the way we do the formatting, it highlights it in black and white. So that's year 2. So you need to enter 2 as the year of payback, then just read it off, okay? 186 is the payback period. This question doesn't ask discounted payback period, but if it did, find the year in which running present value turns positive. That happens to be year 3. And just read that off. And if the payback cutoff, if this was a standalone project and cutoff was 2 years, we would have accepted it based on regular payback, but rejected it based on discounted payback, even though, there's still, green light, yellow light. Project 2, in both cases, both regular payback and discounted payback, we get our money back in year 2.